Hi. So I'm going to end up doing two different videos. The first one is the overall strategy, the links vocabulary strategy from KU. And then the second one will be modeling the strategy and the think alouds that I would do like if I were with students. So the overview of the strategy, stage 1 is the pretest. The students are administered the pretest where they're given unknown vocabulary words and definitions, and that can be either something created by the teacher or there's a list in the back of the book. They're given index cards and 30 minutes to study them. The teacher then collects all the materials, interviews the students on their study strategies, like what they came up with to study the vocab words, and then the students are asked to recall the words and definitions the following day. So they get the cards, they come up with a way to study for unknown vocab words on their own, and then they're tested the next day. They're given charts to monitor their own progress. So after that first pretest, they'll be graded and they'll learn how to put their own progress into the charts. Then the describe stage is using cue cards from the book. So what I would tell the students is an effective learning strategy is a plan for learning that includes thinking smart and using a set of thinking tactics. So we're trying to come up with ideas on how to learn things better and use strategies that we're learning on how to remember vocabulary words that we don't know. So cue card 1 says an effective learning strategy is a systematic plan for learning that includes thinking smart and using a set of thinking tactics. And they have an example on how to use a mnemonic device. Strategic learners, which is what we want to be, participate, think carefully about what they are learning, remember what they have learned, set goals and ask questions, and change information to make it easier to learn and remember. So this lists the characteristics of the strategic learners. So I would ask the students, why do you think it's important to be able to remember academic vocabulary words? And some of the answers might be to understand what you read, to get better grades, to be able to speak with your future boss about job-related vocabulary, and that's all from the book. But we want them to have a rationale of why this is important for them to learn. So you should use the link strategy when you are trying to remember the meaning of a new word by associating or linking it with something you already know. It gives you the opportunity to test yourself. You wouldn't use the link strategy to memorize things like a series of items in a list or steps in a process. You wouldn't use the links strategy to memorize a poem or a passage, or if a different memorizing strategy would work better for whatever you're trying to memorize. So when you're looking at academic work, a textbook or something, some words that you would use using the links vocabulary strategy, an easy one would be a vocab list that your teacher gave you for science or social studies or something like that. Another way to find words might be in the headings of textbooks or maps or words that you don't know that you need to learn that are specific to that class. You could use a glossary or technical terms for a job. That's on cue card 3. So this, if I were with students, I would go more specifically over everything on cue card number 3. So then the link strategy is kind of the main part of the strategy. Step 1 is L, list the parts. 2, I, identify a reminding word. 3, note a linking story. 4, create a linking picture. 5, self-test. And I'll do my second video more detailed on this strategy and how I did it for the cells in the science section. All right, and then once the students, once I'd gone through this part, then we're talking about specifically how to create the link study cards. And then I'll go over this in more detail again in the second video as if I were with students. And this just goes over how you split up your card and how you exactly use the strategies on the cards. List the parts, identify, note, create, self-test, forwards and backwards. So we'll go over that more in the second video. All right, so if I were with students, I would do these pages much more detailed on the different parts of the linking strategy, what makes effective and non-effective pieces, examples, non-examples, effective linking story, effective reminding word. All right. Then cue card 10 is talking about the chain analogy. So after we've gone through the whole think aloud, the modeling section, then we come back to with the students, the strategy helps you link new information to knowledge that you already have in your brain. So it's like a chain. If you can remember the information in one of the links of the chain, you can usually remember information in many other links. So that's all stage 2, describe. Then stage 3 is model. I'll do that in the second video. And I would say watch and listen carefully as I think aloud about how to create the study cards and use the linking strategies. Then after that, we would administer a practice test on the cell vocabulary from the science passages, score them, and I would have students chart their progress again, since that's part of the strategy. Stage 4 is verbal practice, where you use question and answer, check for understanding to ensure the students understand and have memorized the strategy. And then stage 5 is controlled practice and feedback. And that's where the students are given blank cards, and I would do academic lists from other teachers. Social studies or science seem to work really well for this strategy. And then have the students create their own cards using the linking strategy and provide immediate feedback to them throughout that strategy. So that's the end of video 1, and I'll do video 2 to model the cell linking strategy.